When a famous person dies, the news travels fast. But when a sitcom star dies, when someone who was in your living room every week suddenly stops appearing, the grief is different. It is personal. These are stories about 20 performers whose deaths were so shocking, so sudden, or so tragic that the entire world stopped what they were doing and paid attention. Some of them died on set, in front of cameras. Some died under mysterious circumstances. Some died from diseases that nobody saw coming. All of them left the world asking the same question: how could this happen to someone we thought we knew? These deaths shocked not just the entertainment industry, but millions of people around the globe who had grown up with these faces in their homes. If you want more about the real stories behind the shows you grew up with, subscribe 1. Robin Williams. Robin Williams played Mork, the alien character on Mork and Mindy, which ran on ABC from 1978 to 1982. He was electric. He was unpredictable. He was one of the most talented comedians ever to appear on television. His energy seemed boundless. His humor came from some place inside him that nobody else could access. But behind that energy was a man who was struggling. By 2014, Williams was dealing with depression that would not respond to treatment. He was also dealing with the early stages of Lewy body dementia, a disease that was eating away at his brain. The disease was causing paranoia, memory loss, and a sense that something was deeply wrong, but Williams did not know what. On August 11, 2014, at age 63, Robin Williams took his own life. The world was stunned. How could someone who made so many people laugh end his own life in such a dark way? The news dominated global headlines for weeks. His death was a global tragedy that forced a conversation about mental health and depression. Only after his death did doctors discover that he had Lewy body dementia, not Parkinson's disease as he had been told. The disease had been slowly destroying his mind, and he did not even know it. 2. John Ritter. John Ritter played Jack Tripper on Three's Company, which ran on ABC from 1977 to 1984. He was the physical comedian who could fall and make it look like the funniest thing in the world. His timing was perfect. His energy was infectious. He seemed like a man who had no worries in the world. On September 19, 2003, Ritter was on the set of his new sitcom, 8 Simple Rules. He suddenly felt chest pain and nausea. He was taken to the hospital, where doctors thought he was having a heart attack. But it was something much more dangerous. His aorta, the main artery from his heart, had torn. It was an aortic dissection. Doctors did not catch the problem in time. That night, at age 54, John Ritter died. The world was shocked. He was in the middle of a brand new show. He had a family. He had his whole life ahead of him. But a sudden medical emergency had taken him in hours. His death raised awareness about aortic dissection, a condition that is often mistaken for a heart attack. His wife, Amy, spent years after his death educating people about the dangers of the condition. 3. Red Fox. Red Fox played Fred Sanford on Sanford and Son, which ran on NBC from 1972 to 1977. His famous fake heart attacks, where he would clutch his chest and yell, "I'm coming, Elizabeth," became iconic moments in television history. He was one of the funniest comedians to ever appear on television. But Fox had spent his money as fast as he made it. By the early 1990s, despite his decades of success, he was in financial trouble. He was trying to make a comeback on a new show called The Royal Family. On October 11, 1991, while rehearsing on set, Fox collapsed. At first, people thought it was another one of his famous fake heart attacks. But this time it was real. He was having a massive heart attack. By the time people realized the truth and called for help, it was too late. He died that night at age 68. The irony was brutal. The man famous for pretending to have a heart attack died of an actual heart attack, and people almost did not believe him. 4. Alan Thicke. Alan Thicke played Dr. Jason Seaver on Growing Pains, which ran on ABC from 1985 to 1992. He was the father figure of the 1980s. He was also a talented writer and producer. And he wrote the theme songs for some of the most famous sitcoms in television history. On December 13, 2016, Alan Thicke was playing hockey with his teenage son in Burbank, California. It was just a normal father and son activity. Suddenly, he grabbed his chest and collapsed. He was rushed to the hospital, but doctors could not save him. He died that night at age 69 from a ruptured aorta. The death shocked Hollywood. He had been active and healthy. He had just been playing hockey with his son. And then he was gone. His death was sudden and unexpected, which made it all the more tragic. His son Robin Thicke, who became a successful musician, has spoken about how much his father meant to him and how his death changed his life forever. 5. Andy Kaufman. Andy Kaufman played Latka Gravis on Taxi, which ran on ABC from 1978 to 1983. He was unlike any other performer on television. He did not tell jokes. He created experiences. He would wrestle women as his alter ego Tony Clifton. He would pretend to be asleep on stage. He was dedicated to the concept of comedy as an art form that confused and challenged the audience. In 1983, Kaufman announced that he had cancer. Many people did not believe him. Was this another performance? Was this another one of his tricks? He went to the Philippines to seek alternative treatment. But there was no trick. On May 16, 1984, at age 35, Andy Kaufman died from lung cancer. The world was shocked and confused. Some people did not believe that he had actually died. Could a man so dedicated to elaborate tricks have actually just died like everyone else? The mystery surrounding his death became part of his legacy. His death forced the world to confront the fact that even the most creative, most surprising people cannot escape mortality. We are 1/4 of the way through, and the deaths only get more shocking from here. If you want to keep watching, subscribe. There are 15 more. 6. Freddie Prinze Sr. Freddie Prinze Sr. played Chico Rodriguez on Chico and the Man, which ran on NBC from 1974 to 1978. He was a rising star. He was on one of the biggest shows on television at age 21. He was famous. He was handsome. He seemed to have everything. But behind the success, Prinze was struggling with cocaine addiction and depression. He was suicidal. He was paranoid. He had attempted suicide before, and the attempts had only gotten more serious. On January 29, 1977, at age 22, Freddie Prinze Sr. died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He was at the peak of his fame. He had just shot himself while on the telephone with his wife. The world was shocked and devastated. His son, Freddie Prinze Jr., became a successful actor himself. But he grew up without his father, carrying the trauma of losing a parent to suicide. 7. Dolph Sweet. Dolph Sweet played Chief Carl Kaniski on Give Me a Break, which ran on NBC from 1981 to 1987. He was a police chief raising his daughters while dealing with life after his wife's death. He was warm and fatherly, and audiences loved his character. But while the show was still running, Sweet was diagnosed with cancer. He was battling the disease while continuing to show up to work every day. His last episode aired on May 24, 1985. Just days later, on May 8, 1985, he died at age 61. Nobody knew how sick he was while he was still working on the show. He kept his illness private and did his job until his body could no longer do it. His death was a reminder that some people never stop working, even when they are fighting for their lives. 8. Pat Morita. Pat Morita played Arnold Takahashi on Happy Days, which ran on ABC from 1975 to 1983. He was the owner of Arnold's Drive-In, the place where all the characters hung out. He was warm and kind and gave advice. He was also Mr. Miyagi in the Karate Kid films, a role that earned him an Academy Award nomination. But Morita had battled severe alcoholism throughout his life. He was also haunted by the trauma of having been sent to a Japanese-American internment camp as a child during World War II. On November 24, 2005, Pat Morita died at age 73. The official cause was kidney failure, but the damage had been done by decades of heavy drinking. His body could no longer survive. He had played wise, gentle characters on television, but in real life he had been struggling with addiction and trauma that never really went away. 9. John Belushi. John Belushi was the star of Saturday Night Live from 1975 to 1979. He was one of the funniest people to ever appear on the show. He was loud, energetic, and completely unpredictable. He made people laugh harder than almost anyone else in the world. But Belushi was also a serious drug addict. He was using cocaine and heroin daily by the early 1980s. His behavior was becoming increasingly erratic and dangerous. On March 5, 1982, John Belushi was found dead in a hotel room at the Chateau Marmont in Los Angeles. He was 33 years old. The official cause was acute cocaine and heroin intoxication. He had overdosed on a combination of the two drugs. The death shocked the world. John Belushi had been one of the most vibrant, most alive people to ever appear on television. And then he was gone, killed by an overdose at the height of his career. 10. River Phoenix. River Phoenix appeared on Seven Brides for Seven Brothers in 1982 before becoming a film star. He was young, talented, and beautiful. He had the whole world ahead of him. He was also using heroin and cocaine regularly, despite his image of clean living. On Halloween night in 1993, River Phoenix was at a nightclub on Sunset Boulevard. He collapsed on the sidewalk outside and went into violent seizures. His brother called 911, but it was too late. River Phoenix died at age 23. The official cause was acute multiple substance intoxication from a combination of heroin, cocaine, and other drugs. He was pronounced dead at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. The death shocked the world. A young actor with so much potential, dead from an overdose on a Halloween night. The tragedy was made worse by the fact that nobody had known he was using drugs. 11. Brittany Murphy. Brittany Murphy was an actress and voice actress who appeared on the animated sitcom King of the Hill and in numerous television and film roles. She was young, talented, and full of energy. She was also secretly dependent on multiple prescription medications. On December 20, 2009, Brittany Murphy was found unconscious in her home in Los Angeles. She was taken to the hospital, but she died that night at age 32. The official cause was pneumonia, but the underlying cause was a combination of prescription medications that had suppressed her immune system. Her death shocked Hollywood and the world. A young actress, seemingly healthy, dead from pneumonia complicated by medication intoxication. 5 months later, her husband died in the same house from the same causes. The deaths raised questions about prescription medication abuse and the dangers of taking multiple medications that can interact with each other in deadly ways. 12. Philip Seymour Hoffman. Philip Seymour Hoffman was best known as a film actor, but he also appeared on the television series Happy-ish. He was an Oscar winner and one of the most respected actors of his generation. He had been sober from heroin and alcohol for 23 years. In 2013, Hoffman relapsed on painkillers. The painkillers led back to heroin. Within months, he was using heroin daily. On February 2, 2014, he was found dead in his apartment in New York City at age 46. He was sitting on the toilet with a needle still in his arm. The death shocked the entire entertainment industry. One of the most respected actors of the generation had been killed by a heroin overdose. The addiction he thought he had beaten 23 years earlier had returned and killed him. His death was a brutal reminder that addiction is a disease that never truly goes away, no matter how much time has passed. 13. Natalie Wood. Natalie Wood was not primarily a sitcom star, but she did appear on various television programs throughout her career. She was a legendary film actress and one of the most beautiful women in the world. She seemed to have everything. On November 29, 1981, Natalie Wood was on a yacht off Catalina Island with her husband, Robert Wagner, and her co-star, Christopher Walken. That night, she went missing from the boat. Her body was found in the water the next morning. The official cause of death was drowning, but the circumstances were mysterious. How had she ended up in the water? What had happened that night? The case has never been fully resolved, and many people believe there are unanswered questions about her death. Her death shocked the world. A legendary actress mysteriously dead in the Pacific Ocean. The case became one of Hollywood's greatest unsolved mysteries. 14. Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor was a legendary stand-up comedian who also appeared on television. He was one of the most influential comedians of all time. He was also a serious drug addict who used cocaine and freebased cocaine throughout his career. In June 1980, while freebasing cocaine, Pryor caught fire. He ran out of his house screaming and was severely burned. The incident shocked the world. A man on fire running down a street, his body covered in burns. Pryor survived the fire, but he was scarred both physically and emotionally. The burns covered a large portion of his body. His career was interrupted, but he eventually returned to performing. Later, he developed multiple sclerosis, a degenerative disease that slowly destroyed his body. He died in December 2005, having survived the fire that almost killed him, but not surviving the multiple sclerosis that eventually took his life at age 65. 15. Lenny Bruce. Lenny Bruce was a revolutionary comedian who appeared on television and in nightclubs throughout his career. He pushed boundaries and said things that nobody else was willing to say. He was arrested for obscenity, persecuted for his comedy, and fought constant legal battles. But Bruce was also a serious heroin addict. He had been using heroin for decades. By the 1960s, his life was completely destroyed by addiction. On August 3, 1966, at age 40, Bruce was found dead in his home. The official cause was ruled a drug overdose, though whether it was intentional or accidental remains unclear. Some believe it was suicide, while others believe it was an accidental overdose. His death marked the end of an era. Bruce had been one of the most influential comedians of his generation, but his life had been destroyed by addiction and persecution. 16. David Cassidy. David Cassidy played Keith Partridge on The Partridge Family, which ran on ABC from 1970 to 1974. He was a teen idol. Millions of young girls adored him. He was also an alcoholic who struggled with the disease for most of his life. The pressure of fame at a young age drove him to drink. By his 20s, he was an alcoholic. By his 30s and beyond, his drinking was destroying his career and his health. In November 2017, at age 67, David Cassidy died from liver failure. The official cause was complications related to dementia and liver disease, but the underlying cause was decades of heavy drinking that had destroyed his liver. The once beloved teen idol died destroyed by addiction, having battled the disease for over 40 years. 17. Paul Lindy. Paul Lindy played Uncle Arthur on Bewitched, which ran on ABC from 1964 to 1972. He was hilarious. He was memorable. He was also a serious alcoholic who struggled with the disease throughout his life. In February 1982, Paul Lindy died from a heart attack at age 55. The official cause was the heart attack, but the underlying cause was decades of heavy drinking that had weakened his heart. His death was sudden and shocking. Uncle Arthur, one of television's most memorable characters, was gone. The world mourned the loss of one of comedy's brightest stars. 18. Dustin Diamond. Dustin Diamond played Samuel Screech Powers on Saved by the Bell, which ran on NBC from 1989 to 1993. He was famous as a child. The show ended. He was no longer famous. Diamond struggled with irrelevance and addiction for the rest of his life. In February 2021, he died at age 44 from cancer. The years of substance abuse had left his body defenseless against illness. The child star who had been beloved by millions died from cancer, his body destroyed by the years he had spent trying to escape the pain of losing his fame. 19. Lee Thompson Young. Lee Thompson Young was an actor best known for his role as Officer Tommy Jock Jackson on the television series Reno 911, and for his appearances on other television programs. He was a talented young actor with his whole life ahead of him. On August 19, 2020, Lee Thompson Young died by suicide at age 29. He was found in his Los Angeles home. The news shocked his family, his friends, and the entertainment industry. Young had been struggling with depression and mental health issues that nobody knew about. His death raised awareness about the importance of mental health support and the danger of suicide among young people. 20. Corey Monteith. Corey Monteith appeared on the television series Glee and other television programs. He was a young actor with talent and potential. He was also struggling with substance abuse, particularly painkillers and heroin. On July 13, 2013, Corey Monteith was found dead in his Vancouver hotel room at age 31. The official cause was an overdose of heroin and alcohol. He had died alone in his hotel room with drugs and paraphernalia beside him. His death shocked the world. A young actor dead from an overdose at age 31. The tragedy was made worse by the fact that he had recently gone to rehab for substance abuse, but he had relapsed immediately after leaving treatment. His death raised awareness about the dangers of substance abuse and the difficulty of recovery for young people struggling with addiction. 20 people, 20 different deaths. But one constant, each one shocked the world. Each one made headlines. Each one made people stop what they were doing and pay attention. These were not distant celebrities that nobody cared about. These were people who had been in the living rooms of millions of people across the world. Their deaths felt personal because the people they played on television had become part of people's lives. Which of these deaths affected you most? Leave it in the comments. And if you want more about the real lives and deaths of the people in the shows you grew up with, subscribe.